Bullying at work can be described in either what I call soft Brexit bullying or hard Brexit bullying, a bit of a Brexit throwback term there. But I use that to describe to clients the different types of events which can happen at work, which can be perceived as bullying. So the most common type of bullying would be some form of interpersonal conflict in work, the type of conflict which we've all encountered from time to time, which might give rise to feelings of stress and conflict between two members of the same workforce. Sometimes it can happen between a manager and a direct report. What a manager might perceive as robust line management to improve the performance of an underperforming employee might be perceived as bullying by the person receiving that advice. Where the law stands is really interesting because there's not actually a tortious offence of bullying in English and Welsh law. We have to look at things through the lens of a negligence claim. And for that, an employer has to be aware, or a manager has to be aware that their behaviour is actually causing an employee to feel unwell. And it's only that awareness which actually creates the duty to do something about it. We call things bullying because it's a term that people understand, but we have to be quite careful with those labels. The other side of the coin, the hard Brexit bullying, as I used to call it, we're really talking about harassment and offences under the Protection from Harassment Act 1997, which is actually an anti-stalking piece of legislation. And so that conjures up all sorts of imagery about the types of offences that statute was enacted to protect from. But it actually applies in work contexts as well. And there's a really difficult definition of harassment within the Act, which actually uses the word harassment to describe itself, which I was always taught at school you shouldn't do. But what we're talking about here is a course of conduct which is quasi-criminal level in terms of severity. So when we're talking about sexual assaults and racial tensions, we're getting quite close there to where harassment is. But quite often, what is bullying and interpersonal conflict and what is harassment can actually be measured with a barometer. And where your barometer is calculated can determine where you sit with that. And that breeds a lot of ambiguity and uncertainty in the law.